And now, let's welcome your host of Aim to Purpose Spiritual Empowerment Hour, Louise Hicks. In this episode, let's talk Black community success and generational wealth.
Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing today? We are excited. We are so excited because this is Louise Hicks, your host of Aim to Purpose Empowerment, Spiritual Empowerment Hour, where we're going to empower you today. And what I'm going to do first is talk about our last three guests. And thanks everybody for coming on. And we are live. We will be going live now. And I'll tell you what happened. I have to get a new computer. You know, that happens sometimes. Technology goes out on you. And when it goes out on you, you got to do something different. That's all about that vision. So now let me share with you my last three guests, because it's so vital that we share information as Black people so that we can unify, because we are not unified. We need to connect the dots. And thanks everybody for joining me. We have some in on the Zoom right now, and we have some that are watching on Facebook Live. So wherever you are, have a blessed day. It's Sunday. So let's talk. And today, that's what the show is about. Let's talk Black community success and generational wealth, because this is something that's long overdue within our community. And this is why I decided to start the show. And everyone knows that my son, Kenan Wesley Mason, and I started a show back in Hollywood when I was in California. This was in 2014. And it went on for 3 or 4 seasons. And then I moved to Texas, left my family behind in California that I miss a lot. However, I will be going back and forth. And as I said, I'm Louise Hicks. I'm a motivational speaker. I'm an award-winning author. I have a bachelor's degree in social work. So I have something to say here. And I am 71. So I have a lot of experience I can share with you too, because I've had a lot of things to happen to me along the way to get where I am as a Black successful woman today. And that's why I do what I do, because I love my people. I love everybody. However, I love my people because charity starts at home. And we need this more than ever, because we are lagging behind all ethnicities in America. And we've been here longer than any ethnicity in America. Therefore, we have to do something different so that we can benefit ourselves financially, emotionally, spiritually, intellectually, socially, mentally, every aspect of our lives. We need to do something different. So what I'm going to do first is share with you our last three guests. We had on our show the first week of April, Reverend Fred Shaw, Jr. During that show, Reverend Shaw talked about, and let me tell you the reason I had him on the show, first of all. I had Reverend Shaw on the show because there was an article that had been written by a white psychologist who, this is recently as well, who said that dark-skinned people have a disease. And that show was about mental health, Black psychiatry, Black Americans in the mental health field in relation to psychiatry. That's what that show was all about. And Dr. Shaw gave us, well, I should say Dr. Shaw, because he says he has a PhD, not a PhD. And that's great, because when you got a PhD, like Dr. Fred Shaw, and I'm going to call him Reverend Dr. Fred Shaw, because when you have a PhD like Reverend Dr. Fred Shaw, you know your stuff, and you know what to do, when to say it, how to say it. And I'm like Dr. Reverend Frederick Shaw. I have a PhD as well. And I do have a bachelor's in social work, as I mentioned, from California State University, Long Beach. So Dr. PhD Reverend Fred Shaw said that, and I'm turning my cell phone off because I don't need it interfering with anything. So let me,
beyond my abilities. And
sorry about that, you guys.
that's what I figured.
Okay, you hear Siri in here trying to talk about something. I don't know what she's talking about, but I have to quiet her up, shut her down. But anyhow, Reverend Fred Shaw made a profound statement when he was on the show. And let me tell you about this, this psychiatrist. Reverend Frederick Shaw is the founder, first of all, of the Citizens Commission on Human Rights Task Force Against Racism and Modern Day Eugenics. And he did an article that was on blacknews.com. He talked about the article. He just basically talked about it because this psychiatrist, Dr. Jeffrey Lieberman, had said that dark skin was a disease. And from what I understand, this psychiatrist, I believe he resigned, and he should have if he didn't, because here we are in the 21st century, and the industry of psychiatry has done a lot of damage to Black people. And it started way back with the founder of psychiatry. And I'm going to have my son to elaborate a little bit on that later. He's going to come in and talk to us. However, I just wanted to share with you briefly that Dr. Shaw, Reverend Shaw, said that as Black people, we need to get some real esteem before we can establish ourselves as having self-esteem. And when he said that, it made a lot of sense, because if you don't know who you are, how are you going to establish some self-esteem? Because I always tell everybody, your power lies within you, let it loose. However, how are you going to know about that power that you have within you if you don't even know who you are? You don't know your history. And I tell everybody, you're not going to learn your history in the educational system we have today. In fact, many states are making every effort to stop Black history from being taught in the schools. And they're saying it because it may hurt or damage little white kids. Never mind little Black kids, how we feel, and the parents. And I can tell you that it goes on in employment too, but it doesn't matter how it hurts us, because I'm a living witness of it. I've had so much racism practice in the employment industry than you can shake a stick at, believe me. And when I talk about this stuff, I want to get our people to understand how and why you need to start creating generational wealth. And you need to learn the difference between success and legacy, because there's a difference. Legacy is passing things on down to your family and to generations to come, so that we won't be lagging behind. Because of all the ethnicities in America, Black people are at the bottom economically. And if you didn't know that, go and do some due diligence research. And that's where we fall short. We fall short because a lot of us don't read. We must start reading, because reading opens the mind to so many opportunities. That's how you learn. And that's what we have to do. And I get excited when I talk about this, because like I said, I have so many stories I can share with you, being 71 and living the 20th century, during the Jim Crow era, coming on up to the incarcerated era, which we are in now. We have more Black men, women, and children in prison and juvenile detention centers than at any time in history. And this is why it's so important that we know who we are. We know where we came from. We know the root cause of why we have all these symptoms within Black America. It's so important that we learn this. And during the first show, when I launched this particular kickoff from my previous show that my son Ken Wesley Mason and I had in California. I wanted to really help our people. And I started this show in January. And I started it with the reading of this book. And I'll share this book with you because a lot of us don't know the root cause. It's called The Willy Lynch Letter and the Making of a Slave. That's how I started this show. And I wanted us to understand the root cause of the various symptoms within our community. And it has to do whether Willie Lynch is fictional or whether he's real. We know these atrocities really did happen. So back to Minister Doctor, who has the PhD, Frederick Shaw Jr., who talked about the real esteem and how we needed to figure out and learn who we are. That's the real esteem, the reality of everything that is happening, has happened to the Black community in America. So with that, once you learn the real esteem, you can move on to the self-esteem. And that's what's internal. We have to internalize and externalize to know who we are and to know how we need to move on so that we can pass on generational wealth. Okay, and then we had our next guest, who was a psychologist, a licensed psychologist, Jayn Higgins. And our topic that week was Texas's first Black millionaire, William Gooseneck McDonald, Fort Worth, Texas. This man was born in 1866, died in 1950. He became Texas's first Black millionaire. This man was remarkable. Somebody being born the son of slaves. He didn't let anything stop him. This man at 21, 18, I believe, he was a principal of a school. He was some position within the Republican Party, brilliant, melanated Black man. He started selling houses, and I'm not going to give you the whole entire story because I want you to go to my YouTube channel, Aim to Purpose Radio. You're going to find a lot of inspirational interviews that we did back in when we had our Aim to Purpose the radio show. You're going to find inspirational here on Aim to Purpose Spiritual Empowerment Hours, all on my YouTube channel. So go there and subscribe, Aim to Purpose radio show. This man was amazing. He did not let anything stop him. Nothing. He bought houses that were foreclosed in the white communities during the Depression. He had white people borrowing money from him. And let me tell you what else he did. And this is something we're going to elaborate on more. He started the first Black bank in Fort Worth. And he advised our people to come in here and put in $5 or $10 per paycheck, week, however. This is how you elevate yourself. You don't have to start big. And just think, if you start this when your children are at birth, 20, 25 years from now, if you start investing in your child through the stock market, through cryptocurrency, which is really on the rise now, through real estate, there are ways you can invest in real estate. I used to be a realtor. Like I said, I've done many things throughout my lifestyle. And when I leave this world, my kids will not have to suffer or worry about anything because they will be solid financially because I did some things that I knew how and wish I had known more. This is why it's so important that we educate ourselves and educate our children and stop sitting around waiting for some government crumbs because that's all they're going to give you. Like when they gave the little stimulus, they didn't give you anything really. Those were your tax dollars because you pay everybody's tax dollars because when you buy stuff, you pay sales taxes. You pay real estate taxes. And I'm telling you, here in the state of Texas, they say you have no state income taxes. But believe me, you pay through the nose in real estate taxes. I'm telling you what I know because I own property here in Texas. So we got to get with it, Black people. Our Black community has to start stepping up to the plate and stop being blindsided, brainwashed, and bamboozled, as Malcolm X says. Too many of us are, I'm going to call it the way it is, too many of us are stuck on stupid, and we are watching and listening to the wrong things. Nothing that's going to benefit us, some of us. And it's because many of us are still stuck on stupid. And we got to come out of it. That's the only way we're going to move forward as a people and unify and connect the dots. So I want to read you a quote too from Jayn Higgins, because she is a licensed psychologist, as I mentioned. She is a genealogist. She's a historian, and she did this story on Mr. McDonald. William, they called him Gooseneck. They say he had, I think, a long neck or something. But anyhow, he didn't mind. He thought it was funny. But this is what Miss Jayn Higgins said, who was our guest of April as well. She said, "We are stronger together. Let us support Black businesses as much as we support other businesses. Let us lift each other up. Let us trust each other. Let us thrive as a community by patronizing each other." And that's what we got to do. We know all of this stuff. As I told you, I read from the beginning of this show, the root cause and everything. So we got to start building up ourselves and building up one another. That's so important. So these are the takeaways I'm giving you from each one of these shows. And last but not least, we had this dynamic woman, and she's on today listening as well. Our topic was starting a business, family and goals. And this was from Chef D. Allen, who has started a business down in Houston, Texas. Her origin is in Chicago. And she had a vision. A single parent with 3 children. She had a vision. She didn't let anything stop her. And now she's the founder of Build a Pizza, which her daughter gave it the name, and I love it. And she's looking forward to her grand opening, hopefully in June, coming soon. So I just wanted to highlight some things from these dynamic guests who have been on our show, Aim to Purpose Spiritual Empowerment Hour. And like I say, go to our YouTube channel, subscribe, because we're giving you some vital information that's going to help our community grow. Because right now, we are in trouble as a Black community, economically, spiritually, emotionally, intellectually, mentally, socially, and physically. And that's what success is all about. It's about growth. And I think a lot of us confuse success with money, having a lot of money. You can have all the money in the world. And if you're unhappy, you don't have these attributes that I just named off. How is that money serving you? And I know as kids, our parents, we always heard that money is the root of all evil. Maybe that's why a lot of us got off track. And that's so untrue. And people have taken it from the Bible, but they misquote it. And I don't know whether it was by design to misquote it to us, to make us think we're supposed to run from money, because it says the love of money is the root of all evil. It never says money is the root of all evil. So we should be running toward the money. However, it should not be your primary focus, because if you focus on your vision and fulfilling your dreams and your goals, the money is going to automatically come. You're not going to have to worry about it. It's going to automatically come. I'm a living witness of it. Focus on your vision and your goal, because we are perishing as Black people for lack of knowledge. So I was so pleased to have these 3 guests on, because they were all dynamic. And one of the things Chef D. Allen said, family, food, friends, love is her motto. And we know that we need love in this world desperately because America is so divided. We are so divided. It's so much chaos going on. So we have to bring more love. And with us as Black people, we need to start loving ourselves first of all. Therefore, we can love one another because this divide among us started back in slavery. And as I mentioned, they don't want to teach it in the schools because it might hurt somebody. What about how it hurt all of our forefathers? How it's hurting us today? Because it's hurting us. The remnants of slavery is still hurting Black people today. And that's why I want us to never forget our history. However, do not allow it to hold us back. Nothing should hold us back. We are a brilliant, melanated people. And we're used in so many aspects of our lives to make money for other people. And we got to start using our money and spending our money to make money for ourselves. This is what we have to start doing. And we have to stop going out here. A lot of us, I'm going to tell you what I know for a fact. A lot of us are out here on Section 8, spending up our money when we get our income taxes. A lot of us get, single parents particularly, depending on how many children and so forth you have, you may get $6,000 or $7,000 a year back from income tax if you're working. And what do? You go and buy you a Gucci bag. You go and buy you, what's that other one's name? You guys tell me, you put it in the chat. I can't think of some of them, but Louis Vuitton, Gucci, some of the others, we go and buy a head full of hair, $400 and $500. And who are we making wealthy? The other people, not us. And I'm not knocking spending money with other people. However, that money should be turning over within the Black community first and foremost. That's what should be happening. Michael Kors, I see that, right. Yeah, we're spending our money on all these people. Yeah, thank you, Barbara, for that, because I can't think of it. And why do you need all these expensive purses? Who are you trying to impress when you're on Section 8? It's ridiculous. That's why we are running behind. It's so sad. We're running behind. The net worth, from what I did some research on recently, for Black America collectively is about $150,000 or less. And don't go telling me nothing about what Oprah got, these Tyler Perry and the other few of them. That's probably less than 1% of almost 50 million Black people in America. So you don't justify anything by those few wealthy people. And if those few, and some of the mega Black churches too, they have a lot of money. And if some of them would get together and build decent supermarkets within the Black community so we can create some jobs for our young Black people, build educational institutions so our Black kids can learn the right things and being taught by the right people. I'm telling you what I know, because I grew up in the era of Jim Crow segregation. I went to an all Black school. When I went to California, I was amazed at how much I knew as opposed to my peers who were my age, that were some born in California, some went to California early on, and they went to an integrated school. And also raising my own children in California in the integrated schools, I would have to go out to the schools and set some of those white teachers straight because of what they were saying about my daughter, and a Black teacher too. I had to set her straight. The teachers at my daughter's school were telling me, oh, she was plagiarizing. Oh, and how did she write this paper? Because this paper is written on a college level. And aren't we supposed to partner with the schools so that we can help our children? These were white teachers telling me this about my daughter, Crystal, who is also an entrepreneur, has her own business, running her father's real estate business, running a plumbing business with her brother, Camille Flowers. Her name is Crystal Flowers, has her own business as well, Jewel Box. And my son, he had a Black teacher who told me when I went out to the school to speak with her about his grade, because I knew his potential. Oh, he's doing fine. This is a Black teacher. So sometimes their expectations of our children is low because of their ignorance. And this was a teacher. So I would go out to the school, and parents, that's one thing we need to do. We need to participate in our children's education. Thank you for the thumbs up too, Norma, because we do. Many of us, we leave our children to these schools, and these integrated schools are not going to teach your children. I'm telling you what I know. One of my peers that I went to school with, because I graduated back in 1969 in Louisiana, where I was born, but I lived in California practically all my life. So I can tell you about the South, I can tell you about the North, East, West, all of it. And I tell you, I was amazed at what I knew versus some of my California peers who were in integrated schools. And I went to a segregated school. And I thank God for that blessing. Now, college, I went to Long Beach City College, and I went to California State University, Long Beach. And I tell you, I had the same issue with some of those teachers there as well. And I'm one to speak up. Transparent, has integrity, and speak up. Same problem when buying real estate in California. One house had to change the deed restrictions, 20th century, because it said only whites could live in that community. And then some white people say, oh, we didn't do that. Well, who did it? Your ancestors been dead. So who did it? They had to, and they were embarrassed. The escrow company, I know in different states, they don't call it escrow. They might call it some other name. But the escrow company had to literally, 20th century, change the covenant and deed restrictions. And I used to sell real estate. So I know about real estate as well. I've done a lot of things, like I said, because I've always been an entrepreneur. Even as a little girl, 12 years old, I used to sit on my grandmother's porch and say, I'm going to be a best-selling author one day. 12 years old. So you got to have a vision. And I did. I wrote a book, an award-winning book right here that I'm dreaming now that it's going to become a movie one day, because it's about mental health. Any filmmakers out here, this movie can be an award, Academy Award, if they're fair. A Hill to Climb, a teenager's battle with cancer, depression, and drug addiction. It's a true story, chronicles the plight that I had with my son, David, who had cancer at the age of 14. And believe me, it has been a challenge with the mental health system, the medical system, the society at large, the politicians. I had to literally tell one he wasn't a politician. He was up the front guy for the politician, because a lot of the politicians don't even want to talk with you. And this is in California. And I told him, I don't need to talk to you because you're not telling me anything that I don't know already. And a lot of these other government entities, like the Social Security Administration, because of my son, I had to go and train some of the Social Security representatives because they knew nothing about conservatorship. So I'm telling you, a lot of people just, as I said here, look at this. And I challenge everybody, keep little sayings in your home to remind you of what we need to be out here fighting about, because walking the streets for years and years and years and years did not yield us any economic empowerment. It did not. So this says, I thought I wanted a career. Turns out I just wanted a paycheck. And that's what some of us live for. We're just living for a paycheck. And if you're just living for a paycheck, I'm sorry, but it is not going to get you very far. Because a paycheck is should be only a stepping stone for a lot of us who have these brilliant minds. Why do you think 70% of sports today is Black? And that's why a lawsuit was filed against the industry. Because they're not making all the money. Of course, you got one or two, a few making a lot of money, but the rest of them aren't. You know who's making the money? The owners, the white coaches, because you don't have many Black coaches. They wouldn't, when I was growing up, football, all I saw as quarterbacks were whites, and I knew there were brilliant Black quarterbacks. Then they started opening it up, and I saw when Doug Williams won the Super Bowl. And so don't tell me that there's no racism, like your Vice President Kamala Harris and that Senator Tim Scott. There's no racism in America. Don't tell me that, because that's a lie. I've lived it and I'm still living it. So, and like I said, I get excited when I talk about this because I know that our people are perishing for lack of knowledge. And I want to thank Dee Allen for her contribution to this show, the founder of Build a Pizza down in Houston that's getting ready for a grand opening, a single parent. I mean, can you imagine that? And some of these single parents out here spending up their money on Gucci, Louis Vuitton, and somebody put, I think, Michael Kors in there. You're out here spending your money up on this stuff. This woman, Chef D, took a bus with her kids because I believe she told me her car was stolen. If I'm mistaken about that, D, please correct me. She took a bus with her kids so she could be able to go to school. She got her degree with her kids. Then she went to chef school. So don't tell me that you can't do it. You can. And I remember my grandmother, my maternal grandmother, teaching us as children growing up in Louisiana, take that word out of your vocabulary. The word C-A-N apostrophe T or C-A-N-N-O-T cannot. Take it out. Thank you, Dee. I thought that's what you had told me. You know, I got so much running through my mind right now because we have to be on fire, Black people. We have to be on fire. We got to get on code. We got to unify, and we got to bring some love for ourselves so that we can love one another. A Black person should never be killing another Black person. Nobody should be killing anybody, but us of all people killing one another with all the atrocities we've gone through already and we're still going through. It's ridiculous. So we have to stop it. Just stop. So, and Dee talked a lot about family. That was what ours was about, her show. Starting a business. I call it her show because each person that comes into my podcast is their show because they're giving us powerful information. And hers was starting a business, family, and goals. She gave some powerful information. And so many families out here now, Black families, and I'm talking about biological Black families, are so divided. What is the problem here? Hating on each other, hating your brother, hating your sister, hating your aunts, hating your uncles. Hey, just hate, just stupid. This is stupid stuff. And we need to stop it. This is how we're going to come together and connect the dots so that we can unify and leave legacy for our children, which is generational wealth. Because success has to do, and I'm going to say it again, with growth, intellectually, spiritually, socially, physically, mentally, emotionally, and economically. That's what creates the legacy, the economic piece of that growth. So with that said, again, I thank my guest for this month who shared all of this information. You can go to my YouTube channel, Aim to Purpose Radio, subscribe, give it a thumbs up. We have some vital information out here that you can learn from and stop being blindsided, bamboozled, and brainwashed by this American society that is by design to hold you back as a Black community. And drugs and alcohol come into play as well. You got more alcohol, or I should say liquor stores in our Black communities than a decent grocery store. I was doing a number on LA, and I tell you, I think it was 4 or 5 grocery stores, and I'm not saying decent grocery store. They probably was little mom and pops. And there were hundreds of liquor stores because they want to keep you drunk so they can lock you up. Or you can go out and kill somebody by driving drunk like a fool. And I'm, like I said, I'm transparent about it. I've been there, done that, and I have a real bachelor's degree, but I have a PhD because I've done a lot. I've seen a lot. And that's why I do this show. So thanks to Chef D. Allen. We look forward to your grand opening. That's a blessing, a Black single mama doing her thing. Build a pizza. Thank you, Jayn Higgins, for sharing with us the first Black Texas millionaire whose father was a slave born in 1866. Didn't let anything stop him. Nothing. The man was out here doing depression, loaning money to white people because they were losing everything. He was buying foreclosed houses, building a Black community because he was either renting them or selling them to people in the Black community. And guess what? He had the last laugh when he passed away on July 4th, 1950, because his will was to build him a monument in Fort Worth overlooking the former building of the Ku Klux Klan. And from my understanding, that building is still there. So Mr. William McDonald, bless you, and may you rest in peace, because you had a vision. And that community, from what I understand, is still there as well. And that monument overlooking that Ku Klux Klan building in Fort Worth, Texas, the first Black millionaire in the state of Texas. And PhD Minister Reverend Fred Shaw, thank you for all you do. And thank you for giving us a new term, real esteem. Because we need to learn our history and get real esteem. When we get that real esteem, then you can do the self-esteem, because you will have what it takes. You will have the knowledge to know how to grow and how to keep your family together, because I will share with you that our families were broken up. We were families. And this is not just doing slavery. I will share with you a personal story, and then I'm going to see if anybody wants to speak. When we were kids growing up, my parents divorced when I was 7. And a lot of it had to do with this by design America to hold us back. And there are so many laws that they put. Black people couldn't even look out the same window as white people. And I know a lot of people don't know about all this stuff. So many laws, and they're still on the books. And growing up, my father would be over 100 years old now. Brilliant man, could take a car apart, put it back together, had a 3rd grade education, couldn't get a job, couldn't pay child support. And I remember my father telling us a story about how the white supremacist society threw him in jail because he couldn't pay child support. How was he going to pay child support if he couldn't get a job? And the same holds true today. Don't believe all these statistics they're putting out here, because they can skew these statistics, telling you about the unemployment and how high, I mean, it's down low and all this. It's not down low for Black people, because Black people tend to be the last hired and the first fired. And I'm telling you what I know. because I had to fire some. Didn't want to, because I saw what the whites were doing. And I'm talking 21st century. The whites were doing all kind of things, but oh no, they were given multiple chances. The blacks were not. And I would speak up and say, oh, why are you firing so-and-so? You didn't fire so-and-so. So I'm telling you what I know, people. The deck has been stacked against us as Black people. However, you don't have to stand for that, because there are solutions like Mr. McDonald did, like what Chef D. Allen is doing, 3 children, a single Black mother, like what Minister PhD Fred Shaw is doing. And he started a task force too. And if I didn't mention that, let me mention this task force that he started. This is Reverend Fred Shaw, PhD, started a task force against institutional racism in the psychiatric industry, comprising African-American attorneys, and I'm on this task force, by the way, civil rights advocates, members of the clergy, medical doctors, psychologists, and educators. And I consider myself an educator. I'm a motivational speaker, educator. I got a PhD, and I do have a real bachelor's, as I said, in social work, but I love that PhD. So this is what Reverend Shaw started, because the psychiatry industry has really done damage to us as Black people. And Reverend Shaw is the Director of Public Affairs for Citizen Commission on Human Rights, CCHR. So again, thank you all for coming in April and sharing knowledge, shedding light, because we need more light so we can come out of darkness. I appreciate every one of you and love every one of you. And thank you, can't thank you enough. And again, as I said earlier, I'm Louise Hicks. I'm your host of Aim to Purpose Spiritual Empowerment Hour. I see we have several people in here on Zoom right now. However, this is being live streamed on Facebook as well. And I'm going to open it up. If anyone wants to speak, feel free to raise your hand. Let me know. You're welcome to speak. So open up your mic and go for it, because we've spoken about mental health, and we know, God knows, a lot of us are afraid to go for mental health. Go ahead, Norma. I see you open up your mic. This is Miss Norma Jackson in California.
Yes, welcome everyone. So happy to be here and listening to the hour of Louise, Aim to Purpose. And I know for a fact she has really shared a lot of information thus far. However, there's many things that I want to share with the audience today, and that is, she touched upon so many things, education and legacy and so forth. One thing that we must learn, that we have to, each one we teach one. And today's society, the system is not allowing children to be taught the way we were taught. As you were saying, they have a curriculum set forth of how the white kids will perform rather than the Black kids, but albeit they do perform. And the most important thing is parents has to be a participant. I have participated with my daughter, my son, even my little grandson to this day. They see what you are doing, therefore they will follow. And I have to share with you just a little note. My youngest grandbaby, Jonathan, has now, he actually went out to be a counselor for his school. He put his paperwork together, wrote his speech, and he won.
Oh,
he said,
congratulations.
Yes, he said, grandmother, it's just the beginning, because I'm going to be the next president. You think I would take that away from him? I said, yes, you are. You can be it. I may not be here, but I hope I do, to see you walk up there and say, I am the president. And again, it's where we have to touch and reach out to our children, because they are lost. Yes, they are. They're lost. And I do that through being an advocate in the community. I'm very much a part of my community in Carson. I'm very much on all kind of task force. And as you say, even on the voting rights, even the initiatives that we got forth. And that is one particular one that I am very much in force for, is putting the correct books and curriculum in the school. I don't care. Like I told them, I pay taxes just like you do. And they take it out called school board tax. So I have a voice and I have a say. So with that, I am very much involved. I have so many things that are going forth that I enjoy doing, even down to the environment of our water and everything else. So I stay involved and I teach my children, my husband, we as a family, this family, the Jackson family, we sit down and talk and discuss different things that are going on today and how we can help one another. We talk a lot of time, and I do have to say that some of us, we talk, but you got to when you talk, have a solution. When I go to that board in that council meeting, I'm going to express my concern, but I got a solution for you, Mr. Mayor. And that is where you start. And then you pull that child up. You take that child, even in all the social services that they have in the community. Majority of the time, you don't even see our little Black children. We see majority of other ethnicities. But with that, we have to pull this child and say, you know what? You have this talent and come with me. And that's where you're giving the information out. I know where to go. I know where to take you. Mother, if you don't mind, come with me. And I don't have no problem talking to people. I never have. And I always, even just sitting in line sometimes, like yesterday, and I'm gonna get off the thing here. One lady, she had 3 children, and the baby kept wanting to get down and everything. And I told the dad, I said, you know what? He's just a natural little child. He wants to sit down, he wants to see, so he wants to walk because he's seeing us walk. He had to laugh. He said, you're right, ma'am. I said, but keep on loving him. I said, teach him that it's a way to walk and a way to stand, and then you pick him up. And she turned around, she's looking, most young mothers and fathers, they look at you funny. What she did, she said, thank you. I said, you're welcome. But this is what we have to do. We have to show that smile. Like you said, Louise, don't show that frown. A frown just, you got to show that smile. When people see you smile, they say, she got something. I want something, what she got. And with that, that's what you do. And you're going back to the old days and old songs. You can't take away all the stuff from the Temptations to the memory, like Marvin Gaye said, what's going on with the wars and everything. This is not the answer. This is not the answer. So we have to get involved, and that's what I do. I get involved, and that even with the war in Ukraine, we have to make a difference and let our voice be heard too. Let them know we are suffering just as much as they are. And thank you, and I enjoy your program. Keep on doing what you're doing, sister.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And I appreciate you. I appreciate everybody that's on here, because this is how we learn. We have to come together, share information, educate one another, find solutions, because nobody is going to find the solution for us. And being a grandmother, Norma is a grandmother. I'm a grandmother. And it's a lot of Black grandmothers out here now raising their grandchildren, and some raising their great grandchildren, because guess what? The parents are, some of them strung out on drugs, some of them are incarcerated, and some of them just having kids and not raising them. They've dumped them on the grandparents. So grandparents, I admire those like Norma Jackson, who lives in California. And I personally know her because I lived in California and we went to school together. So it's so vital. Grandparents who have these children in your care, please educate them, participate in your Black community, like what she did and what I did when I was in California. I participated in my community. And even here in Texas, I am participating in my community. So that's what we have to do. We have to speak up and speak out, because I have no problem doing it. I had to tell some white people on a job, I didn't come here to be treated like a second-class citizen. I'm a very intelligent Black woman. If you can't deal with that, you got the problem. I don't. And that's what I tell them. I told them the same thing in California, because I had the same issue there. And my show is for anybody. However, my focus is on our people, because we need help. Because if you come in here from another ethnicity, maybe you can learn something to help you be a better person and live a better life. Because it's so important. That's how we have a harmonious society, and we wouldn't have all this divide if people treated other people the way you want to be treated. And that's how I was raised. I was raised to treat people the way I want to be treated. Who wants to be treated unkind? Not any sensible human being wants to be treated unkind. So we should be treating people the way we want to be treated. And that's how I was raised, and that's what I do. So, like I said, anybody else want to speak? And thank you so much, Norma. You shared some very important information. Chef D agreed with you, gave you some accolades, and somebody else did too. Let me see. Anybody else want to speak? Community engagement is the greatest contribution you can give. It just takes time and efforts. Thank you, Chef D. Allen, Dolores Allen, for that comment, because you're so right. That's what it takes. And
Can I give a shout out to Chef D?
you heard that shout out, Chef D. And Barbara said, yes, yes, Miss Norma, encouragement is the key. I love help one, teach one. That's it. We had Dr. Benjamin Roma on this show, and she's an educator, and she knows all about the issues too. And what happened, she left her six-figure school job because of some of the, can you put your mute on? Oh, Norma, oh, okay, because I was hearing the echo. Okay, thank you. So Dr. Roma Benjamin, like I said, she shared a lot of information. She quit her job as some type of administrator, making six figures or more. And she quit and started a school to help young Black men, I think more so because of the high incarceration rate and everything that was going on. So thank everybody for coming in here, sharing. Ken, do you have anything to share? Because I know you have your own business. We've talked about mental health, and we, as Black people, more of us need to really work on our emotional well-being, work on our physical well-being, our health is so important. So go ahead, Ken.
Well, first, since we're low on time right now, just want to say good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone watching and listening. Aim to Purpose Spiritual Empowerment Hour. Just real quick, I just want to just give some recommendations on some reading material based on everything that was discussed here. The first, since we're talking about this person that from this university, I can't think of his name right now, but from Columbia University, Jeffrey Lieberman, psychiatrist, saying that, you know, this lady, this
excuse me,
woman
Ken,
here
somebody,
had a,
can you mute, please? Because I hear the background. Can you mute? Is this Angie? Can you mute, please? Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Ken.
So just real quick, I just want to recommend a couple of books here. As you state quite often, that reading opens the mind to a lot of opportunities, and it does. Every time you read books, you're gathering information that you can use later on. You have to think of your brain like a computer. It's like a biological computer, and once you put information in a computer, you can go to it at any time. this book here is called The Miseducation of the Negro. It's by Carter G. Woodson, who was a Harvard graduate, and he said that it took him 2 decades to filter out his public school education because of all the stuff that he saw go on in the public education system. So that's one book that I highly recommend. It's called The Miseducation of the Negro. It's by Carter Godwin Woodson.
You want to hold it up
Another,
again? Hold it up again.
yeah, it's it's kind of it's a short read, but it's a very informative read. It was written a few decades back. I think it was written back in the 60s or 70s. Another book that I recommend, since we're talking about success, success comes in varying levels and degrees, and success can mean whatever you want it to mean. It really doesn't have to mean anything monetary. It can be success in graduating from high school. It can be success from graduating from college, success from being an entrepreneur. Success comes in all shapes and sizes and forms. Another book that I recommend, it's a trilogy book actually, but it's called The Science of Success by Wallace D. Wattles. And a lot of these books were written back in probably over 100 years ago, but and the language is a little different because of the time period. But these are excellent books. One book is called The Science of Getting Rich. And there's 2 more in there. One is called The Science of Being Well and The Science of Being Great. So I encourage everyone to read those books as well. And one more, or actually 2 more, or 3 more, actually. I can go on and on. Another one by Napoleon Hill is called Outwitting the Devil. It's not a book about religion. It's a book about people and how we operate as people, and how there's positive and negative in all of us. And if we learn about who we are from a spiritual position, then we'll know that our greatest nature is that of good. So Outwitting the Devil is definitely a great book to go into, or you can listen to the audio version, which I think is brilliant. Another book from Napoleon Hill is called Think and Grow Rich. The human mind is great, and we do take it for granted as a culture. The human mind will bring forth any type of success that you would ever want in this lifetime. But once you start thinking in a more optimistic manner and start having the mind of success, and having versus having the mind of poverty or the mind of poor man's consciousness, once we filter that out of our system and have a consistent daily practice of thinking about success, whatever that means to you, by way of natural order, it will come to you. So Think and Grow Rich is another book. Another one, there's a more defined version of that book is called The Law of Success in 16 Lessons, also by Napoleon Hill. Again, these books were written nearly 100 years ago, but nonetheless, they are brilliant. And then one more book, since we're talking about mental health, wonderful book. Well, here's Think and Grow Rich right here. You can go and pick it up right here by Napoleon Hill. Outwitting the Devil right here. This is the audio version of it, which is brilliant. And another book here, finally, it's a book by Bruce Wiseman, who was a guest on our Aim to Purpose radio show. He wrote a book called Psychiatry, The Ultimate Betrayal. And this is it right here. You can, I got this particular copy signed by Bruce Wiseman. who is also a part of the CCHR, Citizens Commission on Human Rights. These are all brilliant books that you may want to peruse at some time, because we all need to educate ourselves. A lot of these things are cultural issues, but a lot of them are universal issues that if we clean them up for ourselves, there's no way that success cannot happen. It'll be inevitable that it will happen. So just take a listen or take a read for these books, and let's get educated, and let's filter out all the clutter, and let's start having a more optimistic view of life, and not allowing the idea of racism to stifle us from any level of success.
Right.
You know, I mean, racism is a cancer of the planet, if you ask me. It affects a lot of people, including us as African people here in America, or as Umar Johnson says, we're Americanized Africans, or colonialized Africans, as I say. But we all have an opportunity to be great and be wonderful and to contribute something great to this planet, so all of us can be successful collectively as a culture. We ruled this planet once upon a time and gave to everyone. So it would be a far-fetched idea to think that we can't do it again.
I agree wholeheartedly. What you're saying, it makes a lot of sense, and appreciate those comments. And that was Kenan Wesley Mason, my son, who is the founder of Kinetic Fit and Wellness. And he's going to be having his own podcast, but we did a podcast together, like I said, in Hollywood years ago. So thank you for sharing, because parents, we need to help our kids with books, and the awesome books can, I see your comment. Thanks, Dee. She said, awesome books. Thanks you for sharing. And I've read most of those books. And parents, one thing I want to encourage you to do, if you don't have the funds to buy these books, most of these books are in your local library. You can go and check them out and read them with your children and share, because I'm telling you, when summer came, Ken will tell you, my daughter Crystal, David, all three of them, I took them to the library. I checked out books, and I told them, you better read these books and give me a report, because I'm going to read every one of them. And if you don't write that report, I will know. Now, you know, I couldn't read all those books, but I love to read. I love to write, but they didn't know that. So if they didn't know it, they did book reports for me. Now, whether they read those books verbatim or not, I don't know. Did you, Ken?
As a child, of course not.
But
I will say this as a parent, consider giving your children books to read that interest them. It'll definitely make for a better a result on their part. Many of us parents, we want our children to elevate so quickly. All children have their own time for greatness and being that great person. Give them things that interest them, versus what we believe will interest them as their parents. And it'll make for a better scenario. They'll be happier, you know.
So true.
So yeah, I do recommend that. And I also, real quick, I just want to acknowledge the other guests. You mentioned Dr. Roma Benjamin, who's great. Sheree Harding Griffin, who was another guest. And yes, our very own Barbara Smith Green was another guest on our show. So I just wanted to acknowledge them, and I want to thank you for inviting me on to be a guest. So thank you.
Yes, I feel like old times because Ken and I did this. And I think, as far as I know, we were the only mother-son podcast from a Black perspective. We were Black and we had all ethnicities on the show. We had guests from all over the world. I mean, we even had Dr.
Of all cultures.
From all cultures come into our show, and they loved it. We loved them. And it was just exciting to do.
African dignitary. We had a couple of Caucasian people from South Africa. We had a Brazilian guy on, Camargo, guy from England, that one of the British Olympic cyclists from Britain
Canada
on the show. We had two physicians. We had a physician, Dr. Rupachari, who's, I believe she's of Indian culture, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, I think she is. Yes.
They were all great. Again, there's brilliance all over this planet. And we, as part of probably the greatest culture on the planet, we've been on this planet probably longer than anyone, outside of maybe Native Americans who've been in America longer than we have. But, you know, it's great to have, to listen to other people's knowledge and brilliance. And, you know, I'm pretty sure that you'll bring some more of that brilliance and knowledge here to this show as well for Aim to Purpose Spiritual Empowerment Hour. If you don't empower your spirit, because your spirit is the first thing that should be fueled first when you first wake up in the morning. Your spirit controls all other parts of you. So when your spirit is uplifted and again, having a vibration of everything that's positive, there's really nothing that can hinder you. You might have roadblocks, but so what? You jump over them. Or you go through them.
Go through them walls. I've told you guys that. I let nothing stop me. Went through the brick walls and everything. I have no issue with that. And also, I'd like to mention Elena Berman. Remember her, Ken? She called me. She and I have kept in touch. In fact, she's an artist. She's from the Ukraine, and she touch bases with me. She and I have kept in touch over the years. She was on our show. She's into health. She has her own podcast. In fact, she has invited us on her show. She does it in Russian, but she also does it in English. And I told her that she would be welcome to come here as well. Because like I said, I don't put limits on people. And we should not put limits on ourselves. However, this show is by design to uplift our people. And once we're uplifted, as Ken has spoken, when we bring some love to this world, we will have a more harmonious world. And I may not be here to see it, like Norma was saying, who knows? And I know we've gone a little bit over our hour. I usually try and keep the show to an hour, but sometimes the topics get so hot until we go a little bit over. So did anyone else have anything to say before we close the show out? Because I want to share with you that I shared it at the top of the hour. You're welcome, Barbara, about the vision on board. We do have a vision on board starting next month, which is Mother's Day month. We're going to do it the entire month. We're going to be celebrating Black mothers, Black women. You are welcome. It's a paid event. It's on Eventbrite, or it's going to be on there. Shamika Brown is working on it with me. She used to be my publicist when I was working on my book and so forth. And when we were at the radio show, she did so much for us, and she still does. She's really like a daughter to me, and I appreciate her. But we're going to have the vision on board. It's going to be virtual. It is less than $30, I'm pretty sure, to come in and join us. We'll start that next week with multiple guests. Barbara, who's on here now, Smith would be a guest speaking about some things. Kenan, my son, Kenan Mason, who brilliantly spoke just now as well, will be on talking about health. We'll have Sandy Allen on talking about finances and entrepreneurship. we will have, who else will be the guest on that show? Shamika Brown, who will be talking about college funding for your children. I will be, of course, speaking with you on some topics about family and unity and investing, because I've done so many things. I've sold real estate. I was in the mortgage industry for a while, and I sold Mary Kay for a while. I've done a lot of stuff. I tell you, that's why I said I got a PhD. So anyhow, if no one else has anything to say, I guess not. We're gonna close the show out. Oh, Norma, did you have something?
Yeah, I got a quick solution to everyone. When Ken spoke about the books, which is very elevating for all of us to learn to be a readers, I'm starting a book club. It's actually on the outside of your house. And I have to say, I took this away from one of my PBS documentaries, where you have a little post box, wooden box, and you put books inside the box. And people come in, you have a little sign say, help yourself to read. And you have the children books, you can have adult books. And that way, the people can read the books, and then you can tell them to return it. And if they don't, that's a part of the legacy you leave with them, because you done read it, so now you passing it on to others. So hopefully they will pass it on to others. So this is my vision to start doing this, because I have little black books right now for my children, my grandchildren, that says, don't touch my hair. And because I have an interracial child, and then I have other ones that I'm a black ballerina. So these are kind of books that you incite children, because we have kids passing off across my street on the sidewalk, and you put it right up in there, and they can choose to select or not select. And one, most importantly, I tell everyone to please read. It's called The Librarian. That is talks about the librarian who made Chase Bank a billionaire. People don't realize there was a black librarian. She was the black librarian of Chase. And you know how he became a billionaire? She went to all the places to invest in art. It's very prevalent that we teach our kids about art. And that's what I'm doing now with my grandkids. I let them do art, and we do a little thing of painting and everything. And that is so important, because they can express themselves. So with that, I hope everyone take that little idea solution and go with it, because it works. Children, when they see things is free and they say, oh, this is for me, they'll take it.
That's awesome.
I'm done.
That's awesome.
Yeah, art is definitely wonderful. Art is used in certain therapies as well.
Yes.
When people are angry or have certain emotional hang-ups, or if they have outbursts in certain therapy sessions, they'll be asked to draw something or to create something to get their minds in a better place, or to put themselves in a better state of mind. So art is a great idea.
Yes,
art
it
is
is
wonderful. And
yes,
art is a right brain activity. So it's relaxing. It's relaxing. It takes us out of the constant stresses of the day.
Yes,
because we're constantly have our wheels spinning 24 hours a day, even when we sleep. So doing certain things to relax the mind, whether it be art or meditation, things of that nature, or reading a book in a quiet place, all those things are wonderful. So thank you for that suggestion.
Yes, we appreciate it, because it's so important that we read. And I started a book club on Facebook. It's called Aim to Purpose Empowerment Book Club. And I put in 2 books so far to be reading for everybody. And I think I started this book club back in I joined Facebook, I think in 2008 or 9. So I must have put it in there in 2010 or so. But it's Aim to Purpose Empowerment because that's my brand, Aim to Purpose. And it's Aim to Purpose Empowerment Book Club, I believe, Journey, something to that effect. I can't remember the exact name of it, but if you look on Aim to Purpose, the book club should pop up. And I put 2 books in there. And one Ken mentioned was Outwitting the Devil. I put that one in there because I've read many of the books that he mentioned. I've read them because, like I said, I love to read, and I made sure my children read books when they were growing up. And the other one was by Dr. Claude Anderson, Black Label, White Wealth. Those are the 2 books that I put in there. And I'm going to start putting more books in there. And if you guys want to join the book club and put books in there, be sure and go ahead, and if you're on Facebook, and you can put books in there to be read, because I do have members in that group. It's my group because I have multiple groups. I have a Go Mental Health group on Facebook. I have the Aim to Purpose Aim to Purpose Empowerment Network, and I'm just excited. And also my page,
Change.
Pardon me?
Go Mental for Change.
Yes, I'm sorry. Thank you. Go Mental for Change. Those are groups that I have on Facebook. Thank you, Ken. So if you're on Facebook, you can go on and join those groups because there's vital information in my groups. You can join me on my Louise Hicks page. I have a L Hicks Consulting Services LLC page on there, and my Lou Hicks, that's my my public page as well. Well, my profile page, I guess that's the initial one that I came on Facebook with. So with that said, I really appreciate everybody. Be sure and be on the lookout for my Eventbrite event, which is the Mother's Day month virtual event. And it's called Vision on Board. And I believe it's Black Women for Success or something to that effect. But anyhow, I will put more information out on Facebook about that. And it's less than $30 to come in. And we're going to have a lot of fun. And also, as a special gift to everyone, you can bring in for free to the Vision on Board a daughter. It does not have to be your daughter. It could be anybody's daughter. It can be, I think we did put an age limit on it, though. I think it was from 7 to 17 or 18, something to that effect. But it will all be, the information will be out there on Eventbrite. But you can bring in, that's my special gift to everyone that comes into the virtual Mother's Month event, because we're going to have those guest speakers, which will be next Sunday, starting next Sunday. And then from there, we're going to, Mother's Day, we're going to let everybody enjoy their Mother's Day. I will come in and chime in on some things on Mother's Day, but we want you to enjoy your Mother's Day. And then we're going to, it'll be a 2-hour event, by the way, because this is special. And each one of these shows, the 1st, the 15th, the 22nd, and the last month in May, we're going to be sharing our vision boards. We're going to pick a winner if you guys want to go that route and see who has the most dreams and see what's been fulfilled. And we will be following up with no extra cost to you. We will follow up to see how everybody is doing with those visions that you have envisioned. And we'll do that in most likely August and November to see how everybody is doing. And I love vision boards. We've done them here at my house. I've done many as well. So with that said, if nothing else, again, thanks everybody for coming in. And you know how I always end all of my shows with, your power lies within you. Let it loose. Until next week. Bye, everybody.